and and a dear, dear friend. You know, it's funny looking at Marcia's life, kind of uh, like pick out different things. And, you know, anytime she walked in the room, the first thing we notice is the pink hair. In fact, I don't know if you ever saw this post that she put up on May 20th of about 2 years ago. She said, while I was out doing errands on Saturday, a very nice young gal in her 20s, I'm just guessing, stopped me and commented on how much she liked my pink hair. It is so cool. And the young lady continued, I hope I look so cool when I get old.
All the backhand.
Well, I say no matter what, this is Marcia. She's a unique individual. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
A very unique individual. So she I don't think she took that backhand getting old. I think she took it that, hey, look, I'm cool. And I hope my gosh, I hope I'm as cool as you, Marcia, when I reach that age. That's a nice way to start with Marcia. And as I said, this is going to be highly organized. So this is the agenda. Of course, Marcia would put out an agenda. We're going to go over what happened. We're going to take a look at people born on June 24th. Some of you may not realize that Marcia had a life before Toastmasters. Can you believe it? And the many sides of Marcia. And this is where we want you to contribute. We have various sides of Marcia, and what we're going to do is we're going to play some music and kind of go through slides. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to kind of jog your memory, because when we finish that section, we would love you to contribute a short 2-3 minute story about Marcia's devotion, Marcia's supportiveness, Marcia's fun side. Right? This is not a show. This is our show. This is we're going to celebrate Marcia's life, and then of course we're going to do a little quiz, just see how much you know about Marcia, and then a final goodbye. If I may, I'd like to introduce past District Director of District 52, Cersei Denyer, and she's going to explain what exactly happened. I'm sure many of you are wondering. Hi, Marcia was just here.
Yeah.
Cersei, would you mind sharing with us what happened?
Thank you, Maurice, and thank you everyone for being here today. Some of you already know that I was assigned by Marcia to be her medical power of attorney. And that meant that should she need decisions made medically, that I would be able to talk to her doctors and make those decisions for her if she wasn't able. Little did I know that that would actually happen. But let me tell you how things transpired. I'm going to give you the high points so that we don't dwell on the details. Marcia was diagnosed with a tumor that affected her physically in a couple of ways. One, she had trouble walking. Her knee would suddenly go out from underneath her. And also she was having difficulty with her right eye to the point where she had to have shots. Scary. The tumor that she had was not able to be surgically removed because of its size and proximity to nerves and things. So the doctors set her up with chemo and radiation. For Marcia, because of her physiological makeup, the chemo did a number on her that caused her more trouble than they expected. So after one chemo treatment, not too long after, she tumbled in her house. She was by herself. She fell down and hit her chin and her forehead. One of the neighbors that took care of her house laundry found her, and then Don Cogan showed up as well, and they called 911, and she was taken to the hospital. The doctors discovered that her sugar levels were very, very high, and her calcium levels, her electrolytes, were also very high. And both of these things contributed to this fall that she had. But they really didn't understand why her numbers were off the chart. Nothing seemed to match. Because she was admitted to the hospital and the power of attorney was not in place, they went to her to ask questions. But I was on a list of people to be emergency contacts at that time, and the doctor called me. And she said, "Can you tell me a little bit about Marcia? Is she shy? She's not talking to me. I ask her questions and she doesn't seem to want to answer." And I said, "No, that's not Marcia at all. Something desperately has changed." So the doctor went in with that information and started to do some diagnosing. Well, they discovered she had developed a condition called encephalopathy, and it's a brain disorder, caused her to be hallucinating, losing her memory, talking differently. If some of you might have noticed, if you talked to her on the phone while she was still at home, that her speech was slow and her thoughts were very slow, and she had trouble putting words together. Well, this encephalopathy was due to, according to the doctors, due to the cancer. Well, that got a lot worse. She was released from the hospital and put into a nursing care facility where a different doctor and a different set of nurses were taking care of her. The encephalopathy caused her to be aggravated almost at everything they wanted to do. Unfortunately, she couldn't really understand what was happening, and all she wanted to do was go home. But she didn't understand that they needed to take care of her and she needed therapy. But she was refusing that therapy because she didn't understand that she needed it. As time went on, and it was a very short time, as her medical power of attorney, the doctor called me. He called me twice. On the first call, he tried to explain to me, probably too gently because I didn't get it, what her condition was. And that's when I got the name of what was happening to her. He indicated that the cancer was causing this brain malfunction and hallucinations, loss of memory, and her cognitive understanding going away. He also understood that she was upset all the time. Not necessarily at things you and I would think of Marcia being upset at. Well, when on his second call, he tried to make it more clear. He told me that this was getting worse and that because she was refusing treatment, would I agree to put her into hospice? Well, because I had already dealt with hospice with my mother recently, I knew what that meant. And I knew that she would be out of pain and in more comfort. So I agreed to let her be in hospice. At that time, the comfort that she received was well administered, and she began to feel much more at ease, relaxed, comfortable. And within a few days, she slept and didn't wake up. So she was not uncomfortable in the end. She was at least at ease and feeling better. One of the sad things is she couldn't have visitors at the end. During this period of time at the nursing facility, the COVID restrictions got put into place and no visitors were allowed to see her. The only communication she had was over the phone, or if she wanted to be taken outside. Now, I know Marilee and her partner Michael went to the hospital, but Marcia couldn't sit for longer than 2 minutes, and she couldn't be outside for very long. So the visit was very short. But I'd like all of you to know that in the end, Marcia relaxed and eased into her eternal life, and that I was pleased that she had taken the advice that I'd asked her about and given me that opportunity to make those decisions for her. I was able to give her what she needed in the very last days. So in summary, her tumor caused encephalopathy. The encephalopathy caused almost everything else that was going wrong. So as her cancer took over, she really needed a helping hand to leave this place. Back to you, Maurice. Thank you.
And Cersei, I'm sure on behalf of all of us, thank you. Thank you for being there next to Marcia's side during her transition into the afterworld. Now, I'm not that much of a religious man, but I'm definitely a spiritual man, meaning that, that was like a sad part. But I know Marcia, she would want to pick this up and really have some fun. Wouldn't you agree? So let's take a look at this. Those that were born on June 24th, and as I go through this, see if this equates to Marcia. Right? They're talkative. They're courageous. Right? They make friends easily. They love nothing more than to be successful in their talent and see it bring joy to others. They are great in business. They're patient. They're reliable. They're methodical. They would likely do well in many in life's situations because they are so talented. These natives are dependable, kind, and they usually like sponges. They attract, in other words, they attract good vibes of people around them. They're protective, being especially with those that are less fortunate than themselves. They are meticulous, detailed-oriented, and they are very, very resourceful. I could see how that definitely equates to Marcia. Now, majority of people here, they're from Toastmasters, but can you believe it? There was a life before Toastmasters, believe it or not. So let's go through a couple of fun facts about Marcia's life. All righty.
Heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. You don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So now this is where we're going to ask you to be part of it. We're going to take a look at the many sides of Marcia. And the first one is her devotion. And we know that she was highly, highly devoted to District 52 with Toastmasters. So we're going to run through these pictures, and then at the end of it, I'm going to open up the microphone, and we would like to hear your story about Marcia's devotion. It doesn't have to be with Toastmasters. It could be with VIA, the other organizations she was involved with. So let's take a look at Marcia and her devotion side.
Take a little time to think things over. Better read between the lines in case I need it when I'm older. This mountain I must climb feels like the world upon my shoulder. Through the clouds I see love shine. It keeps me warm as life grows colder. In my life, there's been heartache and pain. I don't know if I can face it again. Can't stop now. I've traveled so far to change this lonely life. I wanna know what love is.
Sorry about that. So that was the devotion side of Marcia. So now I would love to open up the microphone. Who would like to share a story about Marcia's devotion, whether it's Toastmasters via Santa Clarita? She was a very versatile person, in particular to her devotion. So who would like to share a story about Marcia's devotion?
My name is give me a second.
No problem, Bill. Judy, did I see your hand raised? So Judy, would Judy want to go ahead and share while Bill composes himself?
Let me try it again.
Okay, then Bill then.
Marcia loved the creeping grouse.
That's okay, Bill. It's okay. We understand. We understand. We understand. All righty. That's just to let you know, that's Bill. That's one of Marcia's brothers. So we're very happy to have him here today. So thank you so much. So I see people are raising their hands. So let me start with Don Kogan. Don, share a story about Marcia's devotion.
Thanks, Maurice. It's one of those scenarios where if there's probably dozens of stories that I could relate, but the always thing when you talked about Marcia's characteristics, dependable, reliable, patient, not but patience in a good way. But she was always the one to step in and make sure things happened. I just remembered going to so many events. It was the TLI training or different contests. I'd get there maybe an hour earlier, sometimes just to see, and there's Marcia out there in the morning, with the signs and putting them out, before even the crack of dawn hardly shows up. Or we were in daybreak and Marcia would call, hey, can you get on at 6:30 a.m. because we want to make sure we greet people when we get in. And okay, I can do that. Let me just drink my second cup of coffee. But that was Marcia. I mean, always willing to step in, always friendly, always chipper. And it's just kind of that smile. I remember she was the first person to show up after our daybreak meetings when we were having them live at the corner bakery. And it was just really fun to have her. And of course, the other people like Cersei and others in the club. And that was just that across the board. That's what I remember so much. She was just the early bird catches the worm. That's Marcia.
Definitely, Don. Thank you so much. Oh my, I can't believe it. Robert O'Donnell. Hi, I'm Robert. How are you?
I'm doing good. I apologize for the fact that for some reason my camera's not working. I normally
you're here. That's important.
My Toastmaster meeting, I have an external camera. For some reason, it's not picking up my internal camera now. So, but anyway.
No worries, you're here.
My story I wanted to share is that when Tony Berkowitz first brought me into leadership in District 52, Marcia was, of course, very concerned because this is a person she didn't know. It was a part of District 1, and she was concerned that I was going to try to change District 52 into District 1 style, which I was certainly not going to try to do, and that would have been hard to do anyway. But she eventually came over to my side and strongly supported me. And in fact, when I ran for international director one time, she was part of the team to help me try to get elected, though I didn't get elected. But Marcia was there always to help out with District 52 and to help me out when I was in the district leadership and even afterwards. So I really appreciated all that she did.
Robert, we appreciate you being here. I do remember that when she helped you out for that nomination. So thank you. Ruth Deutsch, share a quick story about Marcia's devotion.
Well, gosh, first, I just want to shout out to everybody from District 52. I miss you guys. Some of you may know I moved 90 miles south to Marietta 4 years ago now. Geez. Anyway, I'm still in Toastmasters. Yes. Still in the club in Pasadena. So, but anyway, and I'm finally about to start my public speaking career. Yay. Now, thanks to Marcia, back in 1996, she helped me put on this amazing booth at a job fair. And I didn't know anything about merchandising. And she came in and she brought everything you could think of. I mean, it was like like all kinds of trophies and plaques and everything that was eye-catching. And she set it up so beautifully and so quickly. I mean, absolutely amazing, you know, Energizer Bunny at work. And, you know, when it was done, we had a whole bunch of people interested in Toastmasters. So that's number one. And number two is that she did something that I hadn't seen anyone else do in the history of Toastmasters, as far as I've been in Toastmasters. As I remember, I have to say, as I remember, because there could have been somebody, but hers was memorable, is that, so I never made it to district governor. You know, I was LGET and PRO and blah, blah, blah. And yet, so when I was in an audience and Marcia was there presiding and she was introducing all the dignitaries, of course, first, all the past district governors and current different kinds of district officers. But then she would also recognize those of us who obtained a leadership role, even though it wasn't district governor, and she would recognize us. And that always felt so darn good. And she's the only one who did it that I remembered. And so thank you, Marcia.
Thank you, Ruth. Trish Laskowski, I can't believe you're here. Hello, my walking partner.
Yeah, yeah. I love those walks across the valley.
Exactly.
I first met Marcia in 1993 when I went to Motivated Toastmasters, and coincidentally, we were both born in Akron, and so we often shared some Ohio memories. I do remember Marcia shared with me one time that when growing up and all, her family didn't go to church and she didn't have any sort of alliances like that. But I told her, like, really Toastmasters is like your church. She was so involved in so many ways and so passionate about it. And what do you go to church for? To really be a better person. And Marcia connected with so many people. I mean, so many people on this call right now, I had a connection to them through Marcia. So when it came to religion and comparing that to Toastmasters, Marcia was like the Pope. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Trish. Yeah, definitely. She was definitely out there in front. Definitely. Kathy Norris, why don't you share your message about Marcia's devotion?
Thank you. My history with Marcia is a little different than a lot of yours. It's through the Valley Industry Association, through VIA. And more than 20 years ago, Marcia started volunteering, became a member of board of directors, and pretty quickly a very dear friend. But I think that all of us share the experience that she's the queen of volunteers. I mean, there's no one like her in the world. You know, she just had a habit of knowing exactly what she needed and where she needed to be. She came to every event, attended every program that we did. And then, even when things got tense, she just had a way of making everybody loosen up and laugh a little. And she just come up and put her hand on my shoulder, and it just kind of made you think, all right, everything's going to be okay now. Marcia's here. But she will be greatly missed. She and I have had a lot of adventures together as well, but her devotion to her clubs and to the community around her is unprecedented. So thank you.
Kathy, I'm so glad you're here. I know VIA was an important part of Marcia's life, and I'm so glad you're here to share that portion of her life that many of us do not know. I'm going to take a few more people, and then I want to see if I could swing back to Bill, because we have other sides that you could share with. So let's go to Alethea Coleman. Alethea, what is your story about Marcia's devotion?
I was in Toastmasters for around a year, 2009. I joined in 2008. I was encouraged by my club to go to a contest, a conference. I went to my first Toastmaster conference with contestants. The room was filled with all these Toastmasters. And there at the front, at the microphone, was a pink-haired lady wearing a glittery hat like this. And she had a noisemaker in her hand, and she was announcing raffles. It was Marcia. Marcia and Audrey Forte and Joanna Null were doing raffles, and they had buckets. She had her colorful hair and her vibrant liveliness that she had and her big smile, and she walked around the room telling us to buy raffle tickets. Actually came up to me and shook my hand and asked me if I'd like to buy a raffle ticket. I was new. I had no idea what to do. But watching those three ladies inspired me to become the raffle person I did, because then Marcia became one of my best raffle customers, buying $40 worth of tickets to support the district, and asked me, make sure you give me the winning tickets. And most of the time, she won at least one prize every time I pulled tickets. And she would either give it to a friend or donate to somebody or take it home for herself, depending on what the prize was. And over the years, Marcia was so instrumental in helping us with contests. I competed in several contests as a contestant, and she was my chief judge. She was briefing us at the YMCA in Glendale in a small room, telling us what to do next. Or she was the Toastmaster, contest chair, introducing each of the contestants. She was instrumental in doing every aspect, what it does to be a leader, to be a great friend, and a Toastmaster. And I thank her for being one of those few that taught me how to love pink and be the best raffle person in the district.
Thank you, Alethea. Beautiful, beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 4 more people. Like I said, we have many sides to go through and plenty of time to share your stories. What I want to do is go to a past district director, Janet Walters. Janet, what's your story about Marcia's devotion?
Okay, and I'm gonna probably cry, but that's okay, I don't care. I can tell you this, she was always there for me ever since I was an area governor, division governor, all the way through district leadership. She helped me at every contest she was there. I mean, and she was so eager to help. And I remember she was on my nominating committee when we were getting the new people inaugurated. And all I can say is when I first met her, she scared the living crap out of me. I'm like, who is this lady? How dare she behave like that? But you know what? Underneath that, she has such a beautiful heart. She has the biggest heart in the world. And I want to say I'm so grateful for her. She's helped me in so many areas, never asked for anything back ever. And I guess the part that makes me really sad is Infinite Jim and I were supposed to have coffee with her again, and that never happened. I just want to let you know, she's a beautiful lady, scared the crap out of me. Then I saw her softer side, and just thank you for allowing me to share this. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. I have to concur. Marcia was definitely a whirlwind. My word, you know when she was in the room. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 more, Maureen, Jeremy, and Tom. Maureen Benoit, why don't you share your story about Marcia's devotion?
Hi, Maurice. Hi, Heidi. It's wonderful to see you guys. Thank you so much for coordinating this tribute for Marcia. And Cersei, thank you so much for not only the coordination, but the role that you played in her life as she transitioned into a different dimension. My experiences with Marcia in regards to her devotion to everything that she did comes before Toastmasters. First I met Maurice, and then I met Heidi, and Heidi and I collaborated and we became sisters at Love at First Sight. We collaborated into creating an event called the Naked Truth Workshop to empower women with her lingerie and through my boudoir photography. And we had this vision, we had this dream, and we talked to Maurice about it. And then one thing led to another, and here comes Marcia. She is our coordinator. And she is, as Dawn mentioned, she makes things happen. And not only was she coordinating other events, but she offered to coordinate our event and be the central figure in making it happen. And it happened 3 times. And for that, generous gift from her, coordinating every little detail to every big detail. The biggest one-on-one, heart-to-heart connection I had with her is I wasn't in Toastmasters at that time. I joined pretty much after we did the ventures with the Naked Truth Workshop. And prior to that, she was in my hotel room and I was in the process of being hypnotized because I was in sheer terror. I was scared to death. And her loving heart and her encouragement to move forward and do the very hard thing and get up in public and speak is something that I will always be very grateful for. And of course, there was no place that wasn't pink when it came to Marcia. And she supported Heidi and us in the things that we accomplished at that time in our lives. So it was great to keep in touch with her through Facebook and see her at a few Toastmasters events throughout my life. So thank you, Marcia, for the wonderful memories and the collaboration that I had in the time of my life. That was very special to be with a lot of you who came on board for the Naked Truth Workshop as guest speakers and performers. The District 52 really came to support our causes that we created at that time.
Thank you, Maureen. We really appreciate that. Many sides of Marcia. Let's go to Jeremy Weinglass. Well, you can't fit your piano into this thing?
Not quite.
All right, share your story.
Okay. I'm going to bring a little humor into this, you guys. Okay. Motivated Toastmasters. Talk about devotion. Marcia was there before we met. Now, we meet at 7 a.m. in Denny's. And she was there an hour or 2 hours before that, setting up, being ready to go. So when I joined 7 years ago or so, she was definitely the one to be on the right side of. And I think, I'll be honest with you guys, we butted heads at first. And I think it might have been over the old debate in Toastmasters of if you want to repeat a speech to work on your progress or just get credit for a speech for the club. She definitely wanted credit for the speeches in the club because she loved Motivated Toastmasters more than any club. And so I saw that in her. So she wanted the best in me to compete. She wanted me to not go over time. And so she would give me these harsh evaluations. And then she'd turn around and also go over time. And so I was always trying to target just before the red and get there by a second. And she let me have it on the evaluation. So one time I said, since we both keep going over time, I said, Marcia, let's have a little challenge here, a little competition. Let's see who can not go over time, who can go the longest without going into the red there over time. And she said, Jaron, I think we lasted 2 weeks. And she went over. And I said, aha, I won. And then I went back and was over again. And she was right back to evaluating me, telling me how you can't do that again. So I just remember it's really her devotion she had for other people, to be leaders, to be successful. It didn't matter how that happened. She put everything in her heart into Motivated into every member. And so for that, I'll always remember her.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, she was a little bit more than precise. Would you agree? Tom Island, what do you like to share? And then Bill will get you as well.
Thank you, Maurice. I really got to know Marcia when Don Kogan, NG Santos, and I were attempting to charter a book lovers Toastmasters club, and we ended up chartering barnstorming Toastmasters inside of a Barnes & Noble bookstore, and that's where I really got to know her. And I could definitely tell she was quite a character from the get-go. And one thing that really stuck out was, for some clubs, they use the free Toast host agenda format to make their agendas available to attendees. Marcia would not, under any circumstances, use a free Toast host agenda. It always had to be her way, the way she wanted it, and printed it out as she would like it. And I think that was Marcia in a nutshell. She knew what worked for her, and she did it. She stuck to it, no matter what. And I'll definitely miss that about her, along with her famous / infamous highway or freeway to Hawaii joke, for those of us that know that particular joke. Spoiler alert, 1 lane or 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate it. Bill, would you like to share?
Go ahead, you. Well, thank you very much.
Honey, please.
Marcia had a lot of friends. Anyway, she was an amazing girl. And one of the things she really liked was the Cleveland Browns. She was hoping that they would make it to the Super Bowl before both of us would die. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But during the games on Sunday, she would text me and I would text her back and forth, making comments about the games. That was our way of getting together, because she would go to the ball games at the Municipal Stadium in Cleveland as well as I did. Those were the good old days. But you people are something.
We understand.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. We thank you for joining us. I love to see her family here. I know she was devoted to her Browns. Nice to know that she was texting you during the game. So
yeah.
that is fantastic. Really good.
Yeah,
so
she was quite a girl.
She was.
And I'm glad that she made some kind of dent in you all's life so that you will remember her.
Yes, we will all remember. In fact, let's continue now, if I may.
Maurice, can I just say one quick thing? I'm so sorry. It's Ricky. I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand on the thing. So
okay, yes, Ricky.
No, I just want to say, in terms of devotion, Maurice.
Yes.
Marcia literally changed my life, and it was because of her devotion to you. And I just wanted you to know that. I mean, when I joined Toastmasters, I competed in the competition, and I did it, and I was very early on, and I didn't know anyone, and she came up. That was the day that I met you, and she came up to me afterwards and complimented me, and she said, you know, Maurice has a boot camp, and I really think it would be awesome if you went. And that was literally that one suggestion from Marcia, because of her devotion to you, literally changed my life. Honestly. And it was just, she just lit up the room when she walked in with her hair in her heart. And I just will be forever changed. I mean, I can't imagine. I know so many people on this call, and Cersei, I just want to thank you also for everything that you did for her, and what a blessing that you were there for her. But I know so many people here, and it really is like a family, and she was very much a core to this family. And so thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ricky. I agree. She definitely brought people together. So as I said, let's continue. We got a whole bunch of sides to go over with Marcia. So that was her devotion side. Now let's take a look at her supportive side.
I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. I feel it. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. I feel it. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. I feel it. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's dream. Good, good night. It's tonight's the night. Let's live it up. I got my money. Let's spend it up. And go out and smash it. Knock on my car. Jump out that sofa. Let's kick it up. I know we'll have a ball if we get down and go out and just lose it all. I feel stressed out, I won't let it go. Let's go way out, spaced out, and losing our control. Fill up my cup, mazel tov. Look at her dancing, just take it off. Let's bring it down, we'll shut it down. Let's burn the roof, and then we'll do it again. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, and do it, and do it. Let's do it up and do it, and do it, and do it, do it, do it. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, 'cause I got a feeling.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to open up again the microphones to share the supportive side of Marcia. We just want to give ample opportunity for everyone to share. Yes, thank you. I appreciate you raising your hands. All righty, thank you so much. So let's talk about the supportive side. Mary Lee, I see you're there. You got your hand raised. And also let everyone know that Mary Lee is part of, she helped with this program. It was Cersei, Mary Lee, and Heidi Lee. I'm just pushing buttons. That's my job. That was it. Mary Lee, can you share something on Marcia's supportive side?
Yes, she was a supportive as a friend and sometimes pushy, but in the end, helpful. 5 years ago, my brother died, and it was my job to clean up his apartment and take care of everything. And it was an apartment he'd been in for 40 years and not giving away anything. And so I was working every day at his apartment. And one day she saw me and she said, "You look exhausted. What's going on?" And I said, "It's, I just am working so hard." And she said, "I have to come over and help you." And many people know how organized she was. And she, set up or organized how we're going to clean up the apartment and take care of things. And she came over there every day with me for a few weeks to help get everything organized and everything out and cleaned up. And then last summer, I had my own health issue, and she was right there to come over to my house. I couldn't drive, and she was driving me everywhere I needed to go and coming over and helping me. And then she got sick shortly after that, and I was still recovering. And she kept telling me, up to 3 days before she died, "I'm going to get better, and I'm going to be able to help you again." And she was just there for you if you needed her, and even if you hadn't asked. So she was a very good friend. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mary Lee. I agree. She was a very, very good friend, very supportive. Very good. Judy, you're raising your hand, so you're doing it the old analog way, as opposed to the digital way. There you go. So Judy, I see you. Turn off your microphone, and definitely, Judy, share a supportive side of Marcia.
Which Judy? We have two.
You got muted, Maurice.
I know, I'm sorry. So Judy, just hit your space, hold down your space bar, hold on the space bar, and you could share. There you go, Judy. Go ahead and share.
Okay. Most importantly, I think that it had to do with Toastmasters, as I was a new member, just beginning my journey there. And through her support and I don't know any other word for it, but I was to give the first humor speech of my life. And I had it all planned. I was dressed for it, everything else. And I arrived at Denny's that day. And the manager of the apartment, the restaurant said, "Come over and look, something terrible's happened." It was 9/11. And we went and looked at the TV and I said, "What are we going to do now? The meeting is just about to start." And I said, "Well, Marcia says you have to go on, and I had that in the back of my mind. regardless of what had happened to the nation and the world, I had to go on and give my humorous speech about killing a rattlesnake in the desert and what I had to go through that night. And she just motivated me to do certain things and be there and be my own person, regardless of what happened, and be strong. And that was one of the things that she really taught me. And in addition to that, when I learned to play golf, Marcia, including knowing that she has 2 or 3 jobs to do to support herself, she agreed to come Sunday at 6 o'clock in the morning after her all-night stint as a hotel manager and be there for me and go through the last 9 holes of the golf course in order for me to learn. And she had a history of golf with her dad, I think, and her in college. So she knew what she was doing and she knew how, but she was there for me in spite of the fact that she'd worked probably all day and then all night. And then she met me at 6 o'clock in the morning. And that was really touching. And besides that, yes, pushy she was, but that's how you get things done sometimes. Thank you.
That is, no, thank you, Judy. That is for sure. I wonder if there's such a term as pushy with love. Pushy with, I don't know. Albert Lynn. Let's go to Albert Lynn and share your story about Marcia's supportive side.
Yeah, hi, Maurice. Thanks for putting all this together along all the helpers you have. I just want to share a quick story on Marcia. As you have mentioned, Marcia was the ultimate trainer, but she also supported all the training sessions back in the time that when we were in person. I remember in Glendale Fire Station, she always had a spread out there. And one day I asked her, how did you get all this spread? There's a lot of money that we had to spend. I mean, for every session that I've been here, you always have a nice spread. And she said, well, I didn't have to spend any money on it. And Western Bagel, they know me by sight. Every time I go there and shoot, they will automatically hand me a big bag of bagels. I go, how did you manage to do that? And she walked me through the process of getting the IRS letter. They got the IRS letter on file for her. I said, can I do that for my speech contest? And she said, yes, absolutely. And in addition, you can also get free foods from Trader Joe. I go, wow, is that right? I mean, that's a world that I'm not familiar with at all. So I copied her formula, and sure enough, it worked. Actually, it worked. So that's one thing about Marcia. Is she's really happy to share. She was really happy to share all her secrets, so everybody else in the district can take advantage of her knowledge and make all our meetings even better. And that's for that. I think. I guess we have to test that when we get back in person again. In the remote situation here, we're not going to be able to take too much advantage of that. In any case, that's what I remember of Marcia. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Albert, for your contribution. Maurice is taking a break, so I take over. So I want to bring Dan Ryan to the lectern, to the Zoom lectern. Dan, would you share a short story about the supportive side of Marcia?
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. Yeah, back in 2013, I decided to get back into Toastmasters. I'd been out for 8 years, and I went and checked out this club, Advanced Speakers of Los Angeles, and I was blown away by the level of the talent of these speakers, and I was just intimidated. I'm like, these people are amazing speakers. And I joined the club, and I remember, preparing for my first speech, and it was quite daunting. And I spoke with Marcia, and she said, well, let me meet up with you and we'll work on your speech together. And we went, she on a Saturday morning, drove out, met me at a Starbucks and worked with me on my speech. And I just thought, how amazing is this woman to spend her Saturday morning driving out and meeting me to work on the speech. And, I was always, I looked up to Marcia as a mentor. And I was always impressed with, over the years, of how, like it's been said before, she was always willing to help. She was always there for anybody that needed it. And I don't remember her ever asking for help, just a giver, and just grateful that I knew her.
Thank you so much, Dan. So next is Christy. Christy, can you unmute your phone, your microphone? Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi.
Heidi.
Heidi, thank you. Thank you everyone for wonderful stories about Marcia. And what can I say more about her? I mean, she's everything. She's our Toastmaster. Well, I first met MBB, I call her MBB, during an area contest one year because I was serving as a chief judge. My first ever district role in the area contest. But, we hit it off since then. And her face is truly the first Toastmaster face that I was looking for in every Toastmaster meeting since then. And I just miss her so much. She had a big impact on my life, especially in my Toastmaster journey. She's always that big support that's always there. Anytime you call her asking for help, she never say no. She never say no, not even once. And I'm sure with everyone else, we all have our own burden and busy schedule and everything. So that's something that really impacted me. And I learned that from MBB, and I'm gonna take it forward because I want to continue her legacy. Never say no in offering help, especially to your fellow Toastmasters. So thank you for giving me the time to share that with everyone.
And we thank you, Christy, for sharing. Is that Bob Stratton? Is that Robert Stratton over there? Do I see? What the heck?
It is.
Robert, what is going on?
Hello, everybody.
So good to see you. Share a story about Marcia's supportive
Listen,
side.
supportive is the appropriate word for Marcia. There's just no doubt about it, except I knew her before she had pink hair. In fact, I didn't know her as Marcia. I knew her as the Energizer Bunny, which was appropriate in terms of describing Marcia. Marcia is one of those kind of people that is there for everybody, not just one person, but for everybody. And I was very fortunate to team up with Marcia, getting my DTM. She was getting her first DTM. We teamed up, and it just made it a treat to work with her and get the DTMs. She was very supportive when I was the area governor and district various governors. But Marcia's one of those kind of people that you give her a job and you get the heck out of her way because she knows what she's doing. She's thorough. She's just completely organized. The thing that I remember most about Marcia is her devotion to judges training. She just had a passion for judges training and doing it the right way, especially when it comes to evaluation. So she would conduct classes on what's the correct way to judge a contest, what's the correct way to fill out an evaluation, and I always respected her for that. Marcia was truly a neat person, and I'm really glad to have known her.
And Bob, Robert, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's finish up the section with Linda. Linda Keim.
Yes, thank you, Maurice. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I remember Marcia back when I joined Toastmasters in the late 80s, and she was an area governor. And she came to the club, and at the end, when the area governor gives opinions and statements, she said, "You have a very hardworking VPE." And she was talking about me. I was doing 5 jobs in this little puny club, and it just felt good to get some acknowledgement, because sometimes you can call people, try to get them to the meeting. What do you want to do? And they don't call you back. You're working very hard. And Marcia was one of those people who would help with 1,000 roles and with all that energy, and so happy and perky to do it. So I always remember, because sometimes in life people don't give you any acknowledgement, and all your efforts, you feel like you're not appreciated, but she gave appreciation, and I always will remember that she did that for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, for that aspect. Yeah, definitely. She was very an appreciative person. So let's jump back. Let's see what's another side of Marcia. We talked about being supportive. What else about Marcia? All right, I know this section. We got a lot of people to share. Let's talk about her fun side. Her fun side.
When you're down and trouble and you need a helping hand and nothing, oh, nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call up my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yeah, babe, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a friend. If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should.
Now, Marcia definitely had a fun side. In particular, her famous tall tale speech of being a Tournament of Roses queen. So let's see. How about if we stop in and listen to Marcia's tall tale speech?
Ladies and gentlemen, our queen, Marcia Bruce Bush.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Yes, I hard to believe, but yes, I was the 1973 Rose Bowl queen. And this is, I'll show you. It's really long, so I have, don't want me tripping on it. Is the dress I wore, size 10 dress that I wore 48 years ago. No, it does not still fit, as I'm about to show you. The ravages of time have taken their toll. So I've had to make some adjustments. First one is this cute little pink t-shirt that matches you. You really can't see it, but there's some pink throughout this and it matches perfectly. So, I could do this again as long as it fit. And then I thought I'd show you the back that I've had to adjust. The bungee cords are a nice touch, don't you think? So here's how it happened. In 1972, my fiance and I decided to move to Pasadena. And we had, both of us had grown up in football crazy families in cold Ohio. We spent, both our families, of course we didn't know each other, but both our families spent the day partying for the Rose Parade and partying for the Rose Bowl. Had a great time. And it was really one of our biggest dreams to make it to Pasadena at some point, to sunny and warm Pasadena at some point to get to see the events live. But we moved to, as it turned out in 1972, Pasadena, so that I could finish my school at Caltech. We were so excited because we were going to be able to watch the events live. So our dream really had come true. We were so happy. I ended up having a friend at school who knew somebody on the parade committee. And she hooked me up with him and we talked for a bit. And then really, really cool, he invited me to come interview. Wow, I really felt good about the conversation. I knew I had a great personality, and I had recently lost a lot of weight. So I was so hot, I could melt butter. And that's exactly what happened. I sailed through the interviews, and I felt really, really good about it. During the interviews, I learned, number one, that about 1,000 women every year apply to go through the process. And to be eligible, any of us, including me, there were several requirements we had to meet. Number one, we had to live in Pasadena. Number two, we had to go to school in Pasadena. Number three, we had to be single. And number four, double check, had to be under 21. So I was ready to go and happy that I sailed through those interviews and had a great time. Finally, after the interviews were done, seemed like forever before they made the announcements. But finally they were ready, and they were going to announce 6 princesses and 1 queen, which is what they did. They went through the 6 princesses, and I was really paying attention, but there was no way I was going to win. No way. But I enjoyed it. They kept us in suspense. The interviews were really good, and then they finally got to the Rose Parade Queen. And when you are going to really win something or be involved, you kind of tune out. And that's exactly what I did. There was no way I was going to be queen, so I was kind of doing something else. But all of a sudden I heard Marcia Bruce Bush, Rose Parade Queen of 1973. That was me. Oh my God. And it wasn't a dream I had, but it was a dream come true. I was totally happy. So finally it is New Year's Day, 1973. Just picture a float full of flowers and my court around me, all of us doing the perfect Rose Parade wave. The car in front of me was the Grand Marshal. This year it was John Wayne, who was a childhood hero. And he came to meet us before the parade, and he took my hand, he bent at the waist, and he kissed it. Oh my God, I felt like such a queen. It was just perfect. Then, finally, the parade started. We started going down Colorado Boulevard, and the Grand Marshal was in front of us. And then suddenly behind me, I heard a honking, honk, honk, honk. It sounded like a car. But then in a minute, it got really loud and annoying, honk, honk, honk. So I turned around to look and see what it was. It wasn't a car. It was my alarm clock. It really was a dream. Mr. Toastmaster.
Very good, very good. Let's go back to our slideshow.
Similar to Dr. Panesi, who's in her.
Do we see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
And trouble, and you need a helping hand, and nothing is going right.
And that's Marcia's fun side. So let's open up the microphones again. Who would like to share a story about Marcia's fun side? I'd love to learn something new about Marcia. I see we have Marilee, so thank you so much, Marilee. Marilee, what's a fun side of Marcia?
This is something I just learned from these photos. I see she was at a carnival and she won a purple dog in one of those pictures, and I never knew where I got this from, but I guess it's a prize that she won, and the reason I got it is because I love purple. So that was just a short story. But
we love short stories. Thank you so much. We're learning so much. In fact, I believe we have one of Marcia's niece, Mary Susan. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining us. Love to learn about Marcia on the fun side, fun family side. So Mary Susan, what do you have to share?
So Marcia was kind of always the fun aunt. Whether you wanted to be having fun or not, she was going to make sure that you did. And when I was in high school, 15-year-old kid came out to visit her in her beautiful little house that she had in Valencia. And all I wanted to do was go to a thrift store in Melrose Avenue. It was like 1988. It was always my dream to go thrifting in LA. And she made sure that we went to not just one, not just two, but every thrift store on Melrose Avenue, all in one day. By the end of the day, I was so exhausted I could barely move. And Marcia wanted to know why I wanted to stop. So her level of energy and excitement for everything that she did was a consistent thread throughout her entire life. And that extended not just to Toastmasters, but also to the family. As far as her determinative bossiness, maybe a little bit, that was an apple that didn't fall far from a tree. If any of you ever met her mother, it was a very similar personality. I think the only person that Marcia would have ever deferred to in her life in terms of not necessarily doing it Marcia's way was doing it Mary Jane's way. Yeah. So it's been such a thrill to hear all the stories of the Marcia that I didn't get to know as an adult from all of you. So thank you so very much for sharing them.
Thank you, Mary Susan. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think I saw a hand go up, but then it disappeared. Jojo Nall, did I make a mistake? Jojo? I maybe I did, but I'll go to Bill, her brother.
You all know about Marcia and her mashed potatoes. She loved mashed potatoes.
That's all she wanted.
She was the legend behind mashed potatoes. Buttered mashed potatoes. That was her dinner. And of course, chocolate cake. The way not for the cake to go bad is to eat it all in one sitting. That's still amazing, and that's what I remember about Marcia. And I'm the toughie. I don't cry. Marcia's the softie. She was always fun to be with. And Mary Susan's right. Who's boss? She was a little bossy. She always was. If you didn't do it her way, you either enjoy it or leave, one or the other. But she was a great gal. And I appreciate everybody.
Bill, we appreciate you being here. Definitely her mashed potatoes, her pat of hard butter, and yes, Tom, her Circle K pop that would hold her water as cold as possible.
Oh yeah, her and the water.
Definitely. Yeah, her and the water, definitely.
And it was not just ordinary water. It had to be, I forget the name brand, but it had to be that special water.
Exactly, Bill.
Am I right?
So I want to go to Kathy Norris now. Kathy, I see your hand raised. What fun side can you share of Marcia?
Well, and I apologize, my camera stopped working, folks, but this is just kind of a funny story. Marcia and I had a lot of adventures together. We did a lot of thrift shopping too, but she was helping me organize the Via storage unit one time. And as we went to open the door, there was a massive spider sitting on the doorknob. And I didn't realize how terrified she was of spiders. And she took off running like a crazy thing. And, her, she was trying to run faster than her legs would take her, and she fell down in the parking lot, which horrified me. So I went over and tried to get her up, and we both ended up on the ground sitting there laughing for about 10 minutes, trying to get each other up. But she would never go back to that storage unit again. She was afraid that spider was going to be waiting for her.
Thank you so much. Great stories. Thank you. Shona Swanberg, what fun side of Marcia can you share?
I've been listening to these lovely stories and noting how many people thought Marcia was bossy. Well, I didn't think Marcia was bossy. Maybe Marcia reserved her not bossy side for me because kindred spirits from Cleveland have to stick together. What I loved about Marcia is that when we got together, we actually had nothing to do with Toastmasters. We had everything to do with the Cleveland Browns. There are not many people who are fans of the Cleveland Browns. So we had this in common. I grew up with an all-star Cleveland Browns team. So did Marcia. She loved the Cleveland Browns, I suppose, even more than I did. And our best times together were talking football and talking about our escape from Cleveland, Ohio. People from Akron consider themselves Clevelanders as well. There were a couple of amusement parks in northern Ohio at the time that we were growing up. One of them was at Cedar Point. Some people know that name, some people don't. The Blue Streak roller coaster, and her initial fear of that. And she once shared with me what she did to get over that. I never did. She was braver than I was. I thought that was pretty cool. I will never forget Marcia. Marcia was never a conflict for me in any way, shape, or form. When Marcia said do something, I just simply did it. It was easier that way. And she always knew that she could count on me to pay my dues pretty much the minute she sent a notice. I loved her. She guided me through the last months of my DTM requirements, and I have always been very grateful to her for that. So thank you, Marcia, for being a part of my life, and thank you all for sharing what you knew of it. This is a wonderful experience.
Thank you, Shauna, for sharing. Speaking of sharing, Don Cogan, turn on that microphone. I want to hear a fun story about Marcia.
Well, many of stories, and one of them, she was in Daybreak, our morning meeting, and Marcia, in this particular meeting, had the role of Sergeant at Arms, or at least she was kicking off the meeting, which was a perfect opportunity to make sure that our meeting got off on the right foot. All the I's were dotted, the T's were crossed. And it turns out that, I guess it was a few days before, maybe it may have been a couple of months before, we get one of those, seismic activities that we occasionally get in California, as we may be aware. And so right before doing the pledge to the flag, Marcia said, we're going to do an earthquake drill. I said, you're kidding me, right? But sure enough, she had us ducking under our desks and making sure we knew exactly where all the exits were and the doorways. So should that quake hit, we would not disrupt that meeting any longer than we had to. This was one of the many incidents where Marcia definitely put her strong thumbprint on what we did at Toastmasters, and I chuckle when I think about it, but it was just an amazing part of who she was. And a great memory.
Thank you, Don. I would have loved to have been in that room to see Toastmasters duck and dive underneath desks. That is for sure. So let's continue down memory lane here. Let's get back to it, and let's share another side of Marcia. And that side is fearless.
You were the sweetest thing that I ever knew. But I don't care for sugar, honey, if I can't have you. Since you were back to me, my whole life is a crash. Won't you pick the pieces up? 'Cause it feels just like I'm walking on broken glass. Walking on broken The sun's still shining in the big blue sky, but it don't mean nothing to me. Oh, let the rain come down, let the wind blow through me. I'm living in an empty room with all the windows smashed, and I've got so little left to lose that
And Marcia definitely had a fearless side to her. So again, let's open up the microphones. And who would like to share a story about Marcia and her fearless side? Yes, Angie.
Talk about fearless. She was actually the one that introduced me to Toastmasters. I thought I was walking into a book club, and I got there, realized it wasn't a book club, but I couldn't leave. For you see, this pink-haired mistress grabbed me by the shoulders and voluntold me to sit, stay, and participate. If I felt comfortable, of course. And then she did something that I thought, this lady is crazier than I am. She decided to take me on as her mentee. And we butted heads, as a good mentor and mentee do. And I got to see many sides of her. I got to experience many sides of her, but I also got to learn a lot. And the one thing I'm still working on is being fearless like she was, like she is. She taught me a lot, and she definitely taught me that you can be fearless, but you have to have fun in what you do. You have to devote and dedicate yourself to wanting to do what you do, because life, as she once put it, it's a game that you can win at every turn. And she taught me that. She was definitely fearless in all aspects of the word, not just by attempting things, but to learn from them. She's the one that helped me fail forward and fail constantly, but she was always there putting her hand on my shoulder and saying, okay, let's take this, learn from it, and try it again when I wanted to hide. So Marcia definitely is one of my favorite people, and she is and always will be that very fond memory of doing something that's out of my comfort zone, being okay with it, and learning that above all, you must have fun, eat chocolate cake, and that nobody is perfect, which is what I found out when I found out that she was a Browns fan. but it was okay. It was Marcia. I figured if you've got pink hair and you're taking me on as a mentee, you've got to have a flaw, right? Go Browns, go Marcia.
Why, thank you, Angie. You know, it's true. You brought up a good point, which was that she was fearless, and you know what? I believe she made other people fearless as well. Would anyone else like to share in this fearless quadrant? And then let's get to it. Let's get back. What's another side of Marcia? Let's check it out. Yes, we know she was fearless. But ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you something? Was Marcia determined?
There ain't no reason you and me should be alone tonight, yeah, baby, tonight, yeah, baby. I got a reason that you should take me home tonight. I need a man that thinks it's right, but it's so wrong tonight, yeah, baby, tonight, yeah, baby. Right on the limits where we know we both belong tonight. It's hard to feel so rushed and dangerous. I'm gonna run right you to the edge with you, where we can both fall in love. I'm on the edge of our reach, and I'm hanging on with you. I'm on the edge of our reach, and I'm hanging on with you. I'm on the
We have a speech within here. Where is it, Heidi? This one right here? Okay, let's check out this
Ladies and
speech.
gentlemen, our queen, Marcia Bruce Bush.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right.
Yes,
All right, sorry about that. Hold on. Little technical difficulty. Stand by.
Can you smaller that? Close, smaller? No, minimize. Minimize. It's behind the screen. Yeah, just one.
Okay, sorry, everybody.
I was 23 and a hamburger flipper. Most of my friends had fun, but this single event changed my life forever. And actually on a couple of levels. How often have any of us had the chance to change their own life and make history actually come true as well? When I was 23, I was newly married, moved from Ohio to California, went back to college to finish my degree, and between my house and the university was a really convenient place to work. Part-time, sorry. Jack in the Box. It turned out to be a great part-time job. My starting wage was 75 cents an hour. And at the time, California had no overtime laws. So I could work as many hours as I could get or as I wanted. But the interesting part to me was that I was one of the first female crews in the company. And right away, it was decided we would only work on the cash registers in the front, not the fryer, not the grill. I learned very quickly, outside of my parents telling me this, that I had the don't tell me no gene. I was lucky I had a typical male manager. And I'm saying I was lucky because it's not always learning from the best. you can learn just as much by learning from the worst. And that's what happened at this first Jack in the Box. So I took advantage of it. He never came downstairs to work until after 11:30 for the lunch rush. I took this time to cross the line. There was a line from the cashier area to the back part, which included the fryers over here and a big, big slab of steel, which was the grill. I took this time to learn both areas. It was, in fact, a no female zone, but I was really lucky that the other women that had been hired with this first crew stayed up in the front. They didn't care. They didn't want to learn anything in the back anyway. And the guys in the back, they kind of enjoyed it. I'm not sure exactly why, but they were very supportive and they helped me learn anything that I couldn't figure out myself. So in most of the time I was teaching myself, and they were actually happy because they didn't have to work so hard. But then finally, Friday night dinner.
Can you do it?
Yes. One week. And our primary grill man, yes, they were called grill men, at the time, no-showed. So the manager panicked, ran upstairs to call a replacement, but it was like someone had made me a telephone call and said, be there at exactly 5 o'clock. And I didn't have to ask anybody. I walked right back, put on an apron, went to the grill. And by the time the manager came back down, I was running the grill just as good as any of the grill men. I flew, because of my attitude, through the ranks of management. I may have started at 75 cents an hour, but 20 years later, when I left the company, I was the highest paid female in the company. It was the time period where parity had not quite reached where it should have been, but I was making more money than my ex-husband, so I was.
So we want to share that speech of Marcia to give you an example how much of a determination of a woman she is. And here it is. I want to open up a mic to see anyone who is interested to share a short story about how determined is Marcia. Anyone? Eric, please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Yes, Marcia was determined. I mean, she put the letter D in the word determined. There were so many moments when I had a chance to have lunch with her, breakfast with her. She was one of my biggest mentors in Toastmasters. But one thing that she was determined to do, she was so determined to see me succeed. And that meant so much to me. I mean, she was determined in every single area of her life, but to be so determined to see someone succeed, I think personifies the person who she was. And I would have never been able to serve as district director if it wasn't for Marcia Bruce Bush. In fact, I was so humbled and felt the need to do this. When I was sworn in as district director, we had our I think it was the A&I ceremony in North Hollywood, and I gave my speech. And the very first person that I hugged and embraced was Marcia. It's because she just made an enormous difference in my life. And if it wasn't for her determination to see me succeed, I think I would have never have reached the, all the goals that I want to achieve. So this is, I'm saying this with a heavy heart because I do miss her, and I wish she was still here with us. But she's probably in a better place right now, and for that, knowing that gives me some happiness. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Eric. Is there anyone? I know that there's a lot of people know about her chocolate cake diet and how she's so disciplined on her walking, exercise, and her dieting. Anyone want to share when they eat with Marcia? Anyone? And I remember, oh, Cersei?
When I would go over to Marcia's house to help her with her computer, she always provided food. She always had something up her sleeve. And it was my first connection with how she actually believed that her eating plan was working for her. Now, it is my understanding that she lost 110 pounds and kept it off, which is a remarkable feat. And that takes determination. You don't just do that because you wish it to happen. But Marcia had figured it out. She figured out what worked. And in everything she did, she was determined to figure it out. Nobody was there to sit down and make it easy for her. She had to work at everything she did. So if there was anything that would describe her overall attitude, it was determination. When I was district director, I chose her to help me in several tasks because I knew I could do a hands-off. I didn't have to be part of it. She was determined to make it successful for me as well. What Eric said is true. Her determination was always strongest when it is with or for someone else. Thank you. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Cersei, for your example of how Marcia is so disciplined, so determined. Whatever she set a goal, she go for it. And she keep it up for losing over 100 pounds. That was amazing. So if there's, Linnea. Linnea, please unmute your mic. Thank you.
Cersei's sharing reminded me of Marcia's probably next to the telltale most triumphant speech. She gave a speech about her Echo Dot. Now, this is a woman totally challenged by technology, as evidenced by her refusal to go to Free Toast and use it. But there she was. It was, I think, the Santa Clarita annual Christmas gathering. And there she was demonstrating live the use of the Echo Dot. And what was so fun, I don't know if she shared this at the dinner, but Jim Michael had somehow created an Echo Dot explanation of the chocolate diet plan. And that had to have been one of the hallmarks of Marcia's life, to have this electronic device describe her chocolate diet plan. But I was
Alexa, tell me about Marcia.
in awe that night of Marcia because I know
Alexa,
how
who's Marcia Bruce Bush?
Here's something I found on the web. According to binghamton.edu.
Alexa, who's Marcia Bruce Bush?
Sorry, Linnea, I turned you off by mistake. So can you unmute yourself again? I apologize, Linnea. Can you continue your story?
I don't know where I left, where you cut me off. Was it something I said?
No, it was, you were talking about the chocolate and the machine, the Echo Dot, how she.
Right. But so, and I don't know if you heard me say that Jim Michael had created an Echo Dot explanation of her chocolate diet program, which I can't even imagine how thrilled she must have been for that. But I remember that night of all the speeches that I've seen Marcia give, that was, and she admitted it, huge stretch of her comfort zone in using technology live during a talk. So she was an amazing woman. I can't even tell you how much I'm gonna miss her. I mean, she was in 3 of the clubs I was in. She was always there. And I love her to death. And one day we're all gonna see her in heaven, and she's gonna be recruiting us to join the Toastmasters Club, the Angels Toastmasters Club in heaven. We'll be there. Thank you.
That is for sure, Linnea. Thank you so much.
I
see.
don't doubt that a bit.
Yeah, and not only that, we know that heaven is organized now with 3-ring binders. God is like, God's like, hey, I got this covered. Marcia's saying, no, you need a 3-ring binder, a small, medium, and large for all the different things you must do. Speaking of what you must do, Infinite Jim, what story would you like to share?
Thank you, Maurice. I want to follow up with Linnea because I think one of her hidden dedications was to her trying to understand tech. And I do understand it better than she did, but I got her to use her Alexa. And I did create a blueprint for her. So I would ask her who she is, and Alexa would say that she is the founder of the Chocolate Cake Plan. And I just wanted to share that she was really dedicated because she kept coming back, even though I could be as stubborn as she could when it came to learning new things. She kept coming back to try and figure things out. I could even get her to make calls on Duo for Google. So I just really applaud her for that. And I also applaud her for her walking, because she would walk on a daily and we would text back and forth to share how far we walked. So, I just want to add that when she got her new car, I actually helped her set up, this button does this button does that. And it was a blessing. So I just want to share, she ended up being not just a Toastmaster mentor of mine, but she ended up being a friend. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing. Hey, I just want to go back to the slideshow for a moment, just to share some other things that she did. This was, again, the Jack in the Box speech that you heard her just present about don't cross the line. And I'll never forget how she was so courageous to cross that line. Also, here's another thing from recognition of Marcia, and recognition of product quality excellence as district manager. So even she won awards in Toastmasters, she won awards even at Jack in the Box. So much so that you heard that she became the highest paid female during the time in Jack in the Box history. So wouldn't you agree that Marcia was definitely determined? That is for sure. And one thing that just came out just now, I'm going to ask each and every one of you, was Marcia organized? Yeah, that's right. Take a look at this. I mean, she had 3-ring binders for everything. And not only that, she knew exactly where everything was. Like, hey, do you remember that TLI in 2019? And boom, she's like, yeah, and she pulled it right out. So definitely, Marcia was highly, highly organized. Now, let's have some fun now. Let's do a little, let's find out a little bit more about Marcia. Okay. In fact, when we looked at her Facebook thing, she actually took 2 quizzes. And again, I'm going to ask you, is this Marcia? She took an OMG analyzer of her personalities, and it says this: what are the 4 truths about Marcia? She loves music. She hates bullying. Amazing cook. Personality, compassion, and kind. Well, I don't know. Do you consider mashed potatoes with a pat of hard butter an amazing cook? Or how about plain spaghetti with a little bit of butter on the side, nothing else? Or if she had breakfast, she'll have the super jack, but hold the hash browns, hold the toast, hold the bacon, hold the sausage, and just give me the eggs. That was Marcia's breakfast. So yeah, maybe she was an amazing cook. And this is, what did Marcia look like 100 years ago? All righty, definitely Scotland, lack of sleep, and she definitely has Betty Davis eyes, that's for sure. Now let's have some fun. So get ready to turn on your microphones. You could simply just hit your space bar to just open it right then and there. Let's take a little MBB trivia quiz. Are you guys ready? All right, let's do this. Question number 1. What is Marcia's favorite color?
Pink.
Pink.
Yellow. Yellow.
Wait, is it pink?
She liked her cars red.
Yellow.
Yeah, actually, Lene, you are correct. I'll never forget. Don't ask me how we went antique shopping, but she found these yellow drinking cups, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, this is my favorite." Now, while she might have wore pink, she liked the color of yellow. How about this? And I think we kind of said it. What would you expect to find inside Marcia's refrigerator?
Chocolate cake.
Cake.
Butter.
Butter. What kind of butter?
Hell butter.
Unsalted.
Exactly. Hard packed butter. I mean, she would return butter when she went there. So definitely. Anything else in her refrigerator?
Ice.
Ice. That's right. To make her water inside the Circle K Cool Cup to stay nice and cold. That's definitely ice. Let's see if you were paying attention at the beginning of our session here. What was Marcia's weight at birth?
7 pounds, 10 ounces.
Hey.
All right, thank you. Everyone was paying attention. Thank you so very much. This is one of my favorites, and I think you're going to get it. What is Marcia's favorite fashion accessory?
Pink hair.
Fashion, that's true. That's an accessory. But this is
Pink
a
butterfly pin.
What's that?
Pink butterfly pin.
A pink butterfly pin. Okay. All right. Can you elaborate?
I just saw her when she was wearing it in one of her pictures in the slideshow. So I think it's gonna be it.
Marcia loved brooches.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, everywhere she went. In fact, when we went antique shopping, not only did she get those yellow glasses, but she picked up a few more pins. This is just a small selection of her pins. Here's another set of her pins. Definitely, Marcia loved those pins, those brooches. Question for each and every one of you. What is Marcia's favorite food?
Chocolate cake.
Chocolate.
Is it chocolate cake?
Mac and cheese.
Mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes.
Grilled
Mashed
cheese.
potatoes.
Brownies.
Prime rib.
Chocolate cake.
Butter.
Soup.
Everything. She's like me.
You know what? That's a grab bag. That's definitely a grab bag. From chocolate cake to hard packed butter to mashed potatoes, as well as mac and cheese.
Yeah, mac and cheese.
All right, let's see how astute you are, Bill. We may need your help on this one. Which one is Marcia?
One on the right.
One on the right.
On the right. Yeah.
Definitely having fun with her family. Now, here's an interesting one. Get ready for this one, because I don't even know the answer to this one. I may need some help. How many times had Marcia received her DTM award in Toastmasters?
4 times.
5. Do I hear 3? I got 4. I got 5. Do I hear 3? Do I hear 6?
8.
Do I hear 8?
Like an auction.
It's an auction. Yes, definitely.
Okay, here's a question for you. How many times was she named Toastmaster of the Year in District 52?
Twice.
Twice. That's right, Bill. Well, just to let you know, Marcia was DTM 4 times. Okay, now I think you got the answer to this one because it was just referred to in our last section. Marcia's a fan of which sports team?
The Cleveland Browns.
The Browns.
That is for sure. That is for sure. And how about this one? According to Marcia, which fast food brand has the best chocolate cake?
Food brand.
Carl's Jr.
Circle K.
That is absolutely right. Yeah, let me tell you something. She loved Carl's Jr. Trust me, we've had a few there. Also at Panera. We used to meet at Panera, but definitely Circle K was her favorite. Now here's an interesting one. Which 2 animals are Marcia's favorite?
Giraffe.
That's right, Bill.
Giraffe.
Giraffe and
Elephant.
elephant.
Nope. Rabbit.
The rabbit. The rabbit right there.
Rabbit.
At least that's what we know. Hey, we might have learned something new from her brother. Well, you know what? I'm gonna say this. It may be the elephant, but wouldn't you agree? Marcia was known as the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
That is for sure. How many times did Marcia receive her Toastmaster of the Year award? Bill?
I'm gonna say 4.
No,
Twice.
you said
Twice.
it before twice. Twice. Okay. And then definitely. And what we're gonna do now is just we've wrapped up. We pretty much exhausted our time here. So what we like to do is just simply turn off the screen, share here, and just open up the microphones. Just quick snippets of what you would like to share about Marcia. I know that Heidi would like to kick off this section. So this is our fond farewell to our beloved friend, Marcia.
Thank you. Thank you, Maurice. For this session, I want to talk to Marcia because the day when she passed away, actually, we sent her this card to cheer her up. And we get it back returned to us. It looks like it has been opened and we seal it. So I'm going to open it and I want to share with everyone what card we sent to her. And we want to cheer her up. So we found a card with bear. And it say, "You are more awesome than a bear on roller skate." And can we share what we say?
If you wish.
Okay, so Maurice in here say, "Dear Marcia, I think of all the great time we had together and how supportive you've been. A true friend, thank you for all love and happiness." That's for Maurice. And for me, I say, "Marcia, you had always been a special friend in our lives. Love to you, Heidi." And I just want to show it to you, Marcia, if you haven't read it, because it was the same day when we sent it out. Here it is. I open it for you.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Marcia. Any other fond farewells as we close out this life celebration of Marcia Bruce Bush?
I never
Yes,
saw.
Lisa. Oh, wait, Lisa. Lisa, call.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this was really hard news. It hit me very deeply when I heard the news about Marcia. And this morning I was trying to think of what words could I come up with that would describe her and my experiences together with her. And there was no one story that really popped up that stood out, but the words sweet and sour kept coming to mind to me over and over. Sweet and sour. She had this beautiful blend of sweetness, of love, and sometimes it came through in this very sweet package, and sometimes it came through in a very powerful package that was a little sour around the edges. But that sourness, I realized, really pushed me. It pushed people. And her determination, the funness, the supportiveness, like all those words we heard today, really, to me, were encapsulated in that sweet and sourness. You know, there's a saying that you may not remember everything someone said, but you'll always remember how they made you feel. And with Marcia, I am always going to have the fondest of love and memories of her that I will never, ever forget. And they are so sweet and sour. I'm going to miss you, Marcia. Really going to miss you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Judy, I think you raised your hand analog. I love it. Old school. That's how I do it. So Judy, would you like to share as a farewell?
No, I forgot what I was going to say. I agree with everything that everybody says. She certainly was a big effect of my life during that time that I joined Toastmasters and got to know her. I remember when one of our little ladies' night out, we frequently had weekends where we'd take Friday night to Sunday night out someplace. And at one point, I got them down to Laguna Beach to my sister-in-law's house. And we all slept there, was probably 6 or 7 of us. But Marcia slept on a blow-up bed. And in the morning, she said to me, didn't you feel the earthquake? And I said, no, I didn't know about an earthquake. And she said, well, I fell out of bed. And it was just sometimes self-deprecating fun that she was. She knew real life as it was. She struggled, but she just never let anything get her down. And I certainly will remember her with fun, as always.
Definitely. Nothing got Marcia down. That was amazing. She was definitely the Energizer bunny, always positive, always determined, always fearless. Anyone else like to share a fond farewell to Marcia? Yes, seriously.
I wanted to share, and it hasn't been brought up before. I'm not a flower person, but Marcia was. And she surprised me one day. She gave me a potted daffodil. Now, daffodils, I don't know if anybody knows, they turn into bulbs in the ground. So I had these beautiful yellow daffodils on my porch for a while, and then they died. But I'm not very good at taking care of things, so I left them in the pot and left the bulbs there, and next season, there they were again. They came back. So I remember that, and the other thing was she brought back lilacs from Bloom Ranch for us, and they were amazing. I'd never smelled such a beautiful and seen such a beautiful flower. So Marcia's love of plants, flowers, were shared with me, and I thought that's something I will always remember. And those daffodils, they're growing again. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. You're absolutely correct. I remember Marcia's love of flowers. And speaking of love of flowers, Lance, Mr. Lance Webster, I see you analog and digital raising your hand. What a fond farewell for Marcia do you have for us?
Well, I was one of the 2 district directors who named her Toastmaster of the Year, and I did so because while she's not the only one, she is one of the people that I considered the soul of our district because she represented the Toastmasters values so well: respect, integrity, service, and excellence. And when I think whenever I thought of her in those terms, as well as the values of commitment, integrity, communication, and love, which I speak about often. And she came from both of those sets of values, and that's the way I will always remember her. Thank you, Maurice.
Thank you, Lance. Linnea, your farewell to Marcia?
With all the extraordinary aspects of Marcia that we've shared today, she was humble. She often when we'd connect, I'd go, "Hey, baby, I loved you." And she'd go, "I don't know why." And I think as much as we all love her, she didn't really realize how much she meant to all of us. And I trust that she has been with us in this presentation and has finally recognized what an incredible and special daffodil that she is and was. Thank you.
Thank you, Linnea. I agree with you. I'm glad we did this to let Marcia know how much she meant to us. Speaking about meaning to us, Eric Fonseca, do you have a fond farewell for Marcia?
Yes. Thank you, Marisa. Well, Marcia, if you're listening, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for always seeing the best side of me beyond all my flaws and all my setbacks and all the issues that I carry. Thank you for doing that and for always seeing the giant in me that I didn't see for myself. So thank you so much. Rest in peace.
Thank you, Eric. Tom Island, your words?
Well, there was a speech in the Toastmasters Competent Communication Manual that was leave them laughing. I think that was the project or some description of it. And if it's all right with everybody, I'd like to do my best. I can't do it justice here to tell that infamous, famous highway to Hawaii
Oh yeah, definitely.
that I mentioned earlier. So there's a guy who goes to God and asks for a freeway from the mainland to Hawaii. And God says, no, I'm not going to give that to you. So then the young man asks God to be the best public speaker in the world. And God said, okay, 1 lane or 2. And you know what? I think Marcia, in her own ways, was the best public speaker in the world. And amongst her friends and her family, she was. And I think that's the memories that we're going to be having of her, or at least memories I'll have of her. Thank you.
Definitely, Tom. And we like to take the last few minutes here just to be reflective. Think on yourself and think of Marcia as we finish up this celebration of life. Marcia Bruce Bush. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Hold on. Marcia Bruce Bush. And with that, sorry. And with that, we say goodbye to Marcia. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Circe. Thank you, Mary Lee. Thank you, Heidi. I thank everybody for being here. Marcia was a very important person in my life. Thank you. Godspeed, everyone.
Stay safe.
You're more than welcome to sign off now. Thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. Thank you, Circe. Thank you, Mary Lee. Thank you, Heidi.
Skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The rest of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really sing, I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
God bless you, Marcia, for being in our lives. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.